Hello! Good evening! Welcome back to... once again, me tripping over my tongue trying to read. Probably. Hello, hello! It's so refreshing to see how you're always here. Thank you. It's so nice. Ah, God, okay. Just a second. Need to fix my glasses. Aww. Thank you. I'm glad. I try to make them enjoyable. Oh! Hello! Thank you for the follow and welcome to the stream. Hello! Wait, what? No. I said thank you for the follow, welcome to the stream. Not thank you for the stream, welcome to the follow, right? Okay. God. Tripping up my words before we even get started. Do we need a recap for last time? What did we do last time, actually? I myself would need a recap. We finally got to a first character route. That's Canus. And we are finding out more about him. What happened last time? Oh, you haven't played it yet? This is also my first playthrough. So I am very much going into this blind still. And I'm gonna try my hardest. We got a new guest in, yeah, the other fairy. The other fairy, and then I was upset because of the pronouns. Of the pronouns change. And we got a CG where we got Canus blushing. So I think we're finally getting some romance, or some more romance out of this, because the main route so far didn't have, a lot of that. Haha. Well then, let's jump right in and see where we left off last time. At ... That's fair. ... On that day, at that moment, Canus relentlessly cut down the little fairy. It has been 2 days since I witnessed. Oh, that's where we stopped last time. We saw Canus killing a fairy. Aha! I forgot about that, actually. Contrary to the shock I experienced, Enchanté was doing business as usual. Well done. Oh, yeah, a cup of hamburger and a soda black. Got it. Uh-huh. A black soda. Oh, sorry, can you repeat that? I was wrong. Business as usual was far from the truth. Ever since then, I've been having a hard time concentrating. Well, you saw him cut down a fairy as essentially killing her, so... I can't. The more I try not to think about it, the more it comes back to me. That gentle Canus without a hint of hesitation. And as I was running my pen across the notepad absent-mindedly... Ahem. Do we? Il's suggestion put my mind at ease by reaffirming that what I saw wasn't just my imagination. You're right, but I'm very confused, to be honest. I know you're curious too, Il, but for now, can you keep quiet about it? Oh right, he was with us. We were flying. That's how we saw it. Il nodded lightly and returned back to his seat. Though I told Il that if Canus comes in, I wouldn't know how to behave around him. There he is! Oh, Mr. Murder. Ahem.
リンド以外はいつもこんなもんだろ。むしろお前のが遅かったんじゃねえか。少し野暮用がな。
He's normal. He looks and acts as he usually does. As I was searching for something to say to him.
カヌスがどうかしたの?
Wow. Aren't you perceptive, my boy? Oh, nothing. I overreacted to Karia's casual questioning. For a while after that, I tried to keep an eye on Canus, but nothing really stood out. He was carrying on as usual. Probably because he's been doing this as usual for a lot longer than we've been alive for. Then, perhaps because I am too obsessed with every little detail of his behavior. Canus talks to me as everybody leaves their seats. Well, I freeze up and break eye contact with him, then I ask him indirectly. Did you kill a fairy in Medio? No way. I've never been much of a straight shooter, I've never had the courage to be. But if I keep this anxiety to myself forever, I'll never be able to look him in the eye and be honest. You haven't done anything weird lately, have you? Before I realized I had asked an awfully vague question. You know, like bad things? Yeah, he's not gonna understand that. That's good. In the face of my awkward questioning, Canus as usual replies in a straightforward manner. But as anyone would expect, it seems that he's flustered by my sudden questioning. Smile. Okay. That's a heavy responsibility you're placing on me right now. Canus' gentle voice and words offer me solace, but the softness when he said as they are, it sounds like he's trying to put up a wall around of his true feelings. Yeah. Despite the pessimistic speculations, a few days have passed. No, you are a baby. Oh, don't say that, you know I'm worried about your condition. Besides, I wanted to talk to Dindo too. We're visiting GPM for Kadia's examination. We make our way down the hallway. That's right. The reason why I came with Kadia here is to talk with Dindo about Canus. With GPM's wealth of data on non-humans, maybe I can find something out about the why Canus did what he did. I've already let Rindo know I'm visiting, so all I have to do is to meet up with him. Alright, I see you later. As I watch Kadia quickly walk away, I start heading in my direction. First I have to get to the rendezvous point Rindo and I agreed on earlier. But he did say that GPM doesn't have a lot of information about Medio, but I'm going to ask anyway. If I can get any information, however small, I would consider it a win. Right? Don't stop believing. In fact, after that day, I visited Media a few times with Eel in hopes of having a tea party with Titania. I was hoping the fairies would tell me what was going on with Canus, but...
Canus Espada. 死を告げる妖精について知らないわ。何もね。
You don't know and you also don't care. Probably. The fairies, who are usually very friendly, immediately ran away the second they hear Canus' name. But on the other hand, I was too afraid to ask Titania, who knows anything about Canus. Ah, what is it with the English in this one? How is this a professionally translated game? While the thoughts ran through my head, I reached the rendezvous. Reno was already in the room waiting for me. He waved to me. I sure do. You can tell?
みんなに内緒で話をしたなんて言われたらさすがにね。とりあえず飲み物を持ってくるよ。適当にかけて待ってて。
Aye, aye, sir. I graciously accepted tea that he brought over from the drink bar. I observed my surroundings subconsciously. Perhaps Rino was overly cautious. There aren't any other employees in the room.
それで話っていうのは
Okay, I'm not asking you for like the secrets of the world. Well, I'd like to learn some details about Medio. There's something I really need to know. Like Medio's culture, the fairy psychology, their predicament. I'd appreciate any kind of information you can give
メディオ
me.
についてみんなに秘密でっていうわけで随分と大雑把な話だね。
Do we? Well, though he has his doubts, he didn't try to press me any further. Then, after contemplating for a
前
while,
にも少し話したかもしれないけど単純な話 GPM にはメディオの情報が少なくて、ね、
yeah, I know that.
むしろ現地を見ている分僕や君の方が詳しいかもしれないくらいだし、
Oh.
世界そのものについて詳細を聞くならやっぱりカヌス本人に聞いた方が正しい情報をもらえるとは思う。
You're right. I knew this would happen. However, keeping quiet now won't solve anything. Despite initial hesitation, I decided to tell him exactly what I saw. Oh. Okay.
カヌスが妖精を殺した。
Yes, at least that's how I saw it. Rino then fell into deep thought, and then...
僕はそんなに驚かないかな。
I mean, I'm also not surprised. If he's called the Fairy of Death, there has to be a reason for that. But... I wasn't expecting that. What? But I mean, he killed the fairy?
ああいや、冷たく聞こえたらごめん。そんなつもりはないんだけどね。僕だってカヌスが妖精を殺すなんて想像がつかないし、そんなことをするやつかなとは思うよ。
What do you mean then?
けど、妖精界メディオは異世界なんだ。人間界とは何もかもが違う世界。
Duh. Maybe it's because I've been visiting so often, but I guess I've forgotten about it. Then he
他
says,
者を殺しちゃいけないのはあくまでも人間界のルール。
Oh, are we getting philosophical now?
世界が変われば正しいことだって変わる。現にベスティアでは殺戮こそ正義なんて物騒なルールが根付いてるわけだし、
I guess he is right. To some
そうなる
extent.
とやっぱりたとえ君が見たことが事実だとしても何かしらの事情があるんじゃないのかな。 そしてその理由を知るにはやっぱりカヌス本人に尋ねることが一番確実だと思うけどね。
I think Reno's absolutely right. There must be a reason, I agree, but Canus is always so kind. That's why I just couldn't believe that he murdered that fairy without an ounce of hesitation. It's just my own emotional response. I'm fully aware of that. The Canus brutally cut down the fairy. The Canus that always looks out for others in a time of need will provide a helping hand. What is it with these lines? I just can't put those two together.
それなら 初心に立ち返ってみたらどうかな。
Like, I would love to see the programming behind this game. Like, how the lines fit together. Are they really limited to maybe only like 20 thing, what's the word? Letters per line? Is that why they're so weirdly cut sometimes or not? Or is it just not very well made? Too bad I don't speak Japanese. Otherwise I would just play the original. Not worry about the English translation. Haha. Huh?
信じられないなら信じられるよ。彼がわからないなら理解すればいい。アンシャンテに来たばかりの頃、ミシェルがよく言ってたんでしょ。俺も相互理解ってやつだ。
That's true. Just as soon as Windows will soothe my conflicted mind.
発見発見大発見
Oh, not you again. A voice comes from the back of the hall. Reno smiles spittedly as a figure comes rushing in. Not you again. Oh, hello, Mikado.
おおこれはアンシャンテのマスター君お久しぶり僕の話を聞いていきたまえ
Every time I look at him, I see a new thing on his design. Like, do you see his belt? That's gotta hurt when trying to sit down. There's no way that's comfortable. What?
僕はまたこの天才の名が歴史に残ってしまうほどの大発見をしてしまったのさ
Huh! Mikado's lab coat sways as he spews his science jargon. Oh, you again. Listen, if this guy turns out to be a bad guy, I wouldn't even be surprised. It does look uncomfortable. Okay, thanks. I'm not the only one. Oh, hello to you too, Mr. Assistant. We don't even know the assistant's name.
一応確認なんだけどさ、帝にも僕はこの時間来客中って伝えたよね。
肯定する。
Uh-huh.
こうした事態は予測がついたはず。よって措置の過失と判断する。
Hey! In response to Mr. Assistant, Rindo rolls his eyes. Wait, hold on. Mikado, aren't you supposed to be examining
アベカリア
Karia?
に関しての対応は予定よりも早く終了した。
Oh.
またそれと並行し別の検証を実施。その解析結果が予想外だったと。こうしてこれは
Wait, who's not handling what well? Who's it? What is it? Huh? Okay, so the outcome was so impressive that he wants to immediately report to Rindo. Is that really what's going on?
というわけで妖精界メディオについてある程度は知っているね
We do? Oh, yes, we were just discussing that. I don't know if there's some sort of ulterior motive behind this question, but I play it safe by nodding
な
along.
らば話が早い
Uh-huh.
実はリンドウがメディオから持ち帰った花弁などの各種解析がようやく完了してね
Oh?
なんとその遺伝子配列が紀元前に絶滅したとされている人間界の植物と極めて似通っていたのだよ
Oh! Plant life on Earth? Oh, Rino and I look at each other.
そうこれを受けて僕は仮説を組んだメディオには何千年何万年か前に人間が何かしらの植物を持ち込み
Not the other way around?
それが巨大に成長した結果世界樹になったのではと
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
いや待てしかしそうなると色々と問題があるぞ世界樹ほど質量がある超巨大植物の存在一体どうやってその成長や維持に必要なエネルギーつまり養分を保っているんだ
Mr. Mikado starts pacing around in circles as he gets lost in thought. What he just said.
ああ、ほっといていいよ。帝はいつもこんな調子で自分の世界に入り込むからさ。
そ
Uh-huh.
の意見を肯定しよう。適度な時間が経過したい。私がこれを開発課へと回収しておく。
What's an R&D department? I'm guessing I should know this, but I don't. Right. But he was talking about Meteor. I wanted to hear more of what he
ひとま
thought.
ずカリア君の検査が終わったなら彼を拾ってアンシャンテに行こう。僕も休憩時間だし
Nice.
車で送ってくよ。
Research and development. That sounds like it makes sense, yeah. Enter the back of Mr. Rindo's fancy car and sit next to Karia. So why exactly do we see the car like we're sitting shotgun? I guess drawing a car from the back seat is kind of awkward though. So how did your exam go?
体調的にも精神的にも大丈夫だって。
Nice.
一番の懸念だった妖精の力もちゃんと抑えられてるみたいに。
Okay.
お、それは朗報だ。お祝いに何か美味しいものでも食べようか。
Let's grab a nice meal. We're going to McDonald's, bro. Karia thinks on Mr. Rino's proposal for a
お祝い
bit.
はまだちょっと保留がいいかも。
Oh. Karia continues after thinking deeply to himself.
今までずっとごまかしてきたけど、自分の体とか正体のことちゃんと両親にも話そうかと思って。
Okay. Oh, that's... Karia's always struggled with this. As we think about this, Mr. Rino and I are speechless, but
安定してきた今だから言いたいんだ。
I think they
お父さん
will
にも母さんに
understand.
もずっと体調やこの力のことで散々心配をかけてきたから。ずっと俺もなんだかんだアンシャンテで結構人外のこと勉強したからさ。リンドウさんにも言われたことだけど、そろそろ将来のことも考えなきゃならないと思ったんだ。人間として生きるか、妖精として生きるか。
Karia continues.
家族に打ち明けたら、ひょっとしたら自分のルーツもわかるかもしれないでしょ。俺が妖精の先祖返りなのは先祖の誰かに妖精がいたから。だからそれも少し調べてみたいんだ。俺が俺自身を正しく理解するためにも。
His words are filled with strong conviction. Both Mr. Rino and I are unable to stop him right now. Karia is trying to think about his own future for himself. You're so mature, Karia, considering you're only in middle school. I don't think I ever took things that seriously when I was in middle school, and without much thought I went on to college, got a job, and ended up where I am now. As soon as I finished.
琴音ちゃん、それは違うよ。
Well, that's not true. Like, especially in the last few months, you've definitely thought about what you're doing. What? As he stares at the road and drives, Mr. Rino
君は
continues.
アンシャンテにただ流れ着いて
Yes!
自力で泳ぎ着いたんでしょ。
Damn it. The game is gonna turn me into someone who actually likes Rino. They know what they're doing.
ソワンさんの後を継がずにごく普通の OL として人生を終える選択だってあったんだから。
俺もそう思う。琴音があの店を継いでくれたから、俺だってこうして生きてるわけだし。だからもっと自分に自信を持ってよ。
Karia, Rino. Confidence in myself. Yes, they're right. Since when did I start investigating behind Canus' back? Being the owner of Enchanté is my identity and my place in the world, and as the owner, if I believe that we can be open with one another and develop trust, then I think it's only right that I just ask him what happened, be there for him if something is wrong. My job is to provide a place where Canus can find peace and comfort. Hello! I received words of encouragement from Mr. Rindo and courage from Karia, who inspires me by his attempt to better himself and his quality of life. Yeah. I decide to ask Candice directly about the incident. You go, girl. Before I am able to chicken out, I immediately go to Candice the next day and ask him if we can take a tour around Meteor together. Oh, okay. That morning, while watching Miyu turn from spring to summer, we walk around as we casually converse. It's what will always be so strange to me. The seasons change in a matter of hours. I don't think I could live in that kind of world. Like, I already feel like time's moving too fast, and we have several months until the seasons change. I figured as much. Oh? Huh, no kidding. Oh, come to think of it, when I first came to Meteor, it worried everyone. Yeah, how much time has passed since we first went there in the main story? Like 5 chapters? Oh, no. Sounds like he was really worried about me. Canus places his hand on his chest as he recalls that day. Yeah, back then. Oh, are you... The fairy sprang. It was a really close call. I smile as I stare at the waterfall mist. Thank you so much for saving me. I would have been toast if you weren't there. On top of that, I've actually become really good friends with those fairies. I've recently been able to differentiate all of the fairies here too. Even though they all have the same sprite. But that's okay. Canus stops himself and shakes his head. I wonder how she's going to breach the topic. Yes, I will. Unless I die. For a while after that, Canus and I watched a tiny rainbow created by the waterfall. I began to recall my memories of this world and how I ended up getting to be here. We had so much fun in Medio. Not only the fairies, but we even became friends with Titania. I feel like we've gotten closer with Venia these days too. Is that so? I always thought of Titania as a lively and kind person. Okay. That's surprising. I can't imagine Titania being repressed. I mean, that's good though. I see. I'm glad to hear that I'm at least of some value for Titania. As he stares deeply into my eyes, Canus honestly and truthfully speaks from the heart. Sentimental. I see. Come to think of it, I feel like Canus seems to mention Grandpa a lot more often compared to the others. Grandpa, my predecessor, who had garnered trust from everyone as the owner of Enchanté. Hey Canus, am I fulfilling my role as the owner of Enchanté? Am I the owner that Grandpa can be proud of? My inner thoughts turn into a conversation before I know it. Perhaps he didn't see my question coming. Canus looks a little flustered for a moment, but... Ha! We're doing good.
ソーアン殿も喜んでいると思う。
I understand. I sure hope so. Nice. After that, Canus and I talk about a lot of things.
しかし急にどうしたのだ。我と二人でここに来た。
Okay. I swallow hard to try and moisten my nervously dried throat. Canus, do you recognize this place?
先ほども話に出ただろう。以前妖精たちがいたずらを。
No, it's not about that. Something more recent. I finally decide to confront him. What happened to the ferry that you disposed of here? The moment I ask him, Canus' demeanor changes and he's suddenly nervous. It seems like Canus is trying to play dumb, but I think it's pretty obvious. On the way home from Titania's tea party, Ela and I happened to come by here. We saw you and tried to get your attention. Then it is another flashback. Because this game likes its flashbacks. We saw you kill a fairy at this very spot. I just couldn't wrap my head around you killing a fairy that was crying in fear. I don't know why this happened, so if there's a reason, I'd like to know. The reason why someone as gentle as you had to go and do such a thing, and the purpose of it. As I keep talking, Canus, who isn't very talkative, seems unable to change the subject. Canus, you promised me, didn't you, that since I can't see your face, you'll vocalize your pains and feelings as much as possible. So, I want you to tell me. Then, what the hell does that mean? Canus responded quietly, yet with a tone of importance. Protect the fairy world. Blah.
それこそが我に与えられた役目にして死を告げる妖精としてこの世界に生まれた意味なのだ。
The Fairy of Death. Why must such a daunting presence exist in the fairy world? To put it frankly, the nature of this world requires it. Fairies lack a clear concept of death. They are blessed with eternal life, some even live for thousands of years. However, during this eternal life, the fairy population will grow and media will become overpopulated, causing distress to this very world. That is why, just as fairies are given life, it is equally necessary to bring death. That is my duty. From the moment I was born, I've been destined to bring death to my fellow fairies. That is the Fairy of Death, Canus Espada. The Fairy of Death. Canus was born to kill fairies? So what I saw was you trying to control the overpopulation? Threat? In this peaceful world of fairies? What do you mean by threat? No, tell me. It's his usual voice, but I sense doubt in his tone. And you will continue to suffer. So... And so... Those were the same words Mr. Reno said to me. Different worlds hold different values. But the reason why I can't just let it go isn't because of the act of killing, but you say it's daily life, but why is it that... Are you in such pain? That you are in such pain. As if he was joking on something, his painful tone of voice inevitably worries me. I can hear your voice, and you don't sound very happy. No, I can't, but I can still tell, because I've spent so much time with you at Enchanté. So I know when you're suffering, that you're in pain, that you're in agony.
我は以前言ったはずだ。自らの気持ちを正直に声に出すよう今後は努めると。
Uh-huh.
その我自身がこう言っているのだ。我はいちいち義務になど心を痛めたりはしないと。
You're lying. But... Oh.
我を見ろ。淡きことね。
As I try to plead with him, Canus takes off his helmet and cuts me off.
見えまい。我が今どんな顔で言葉を紡いでいるか。あなたに見ることができるのか。
No, but I can tell that you are sad.
それは我とあなたを隔てる壁。人間と人外の壁だ。苦しんでいる。辛く思っている。何をバカな。そんなものはあなたの思い違いだ。それに我は人間たるあなたに。そんなことを理解してくれと頼む。
Hey, I'm finally on your route. You're not shutting me out with a, oh, you're human and I'm not human nonsense. No. Don't even try. Do not attempt. Canus continues to bombard me with reality checks and I'm speechless.
人間界の常識で語るな。人間界の尺度で考えるな。我とあなたは所詮アンシャンテという一点でつながっているだけに過ぎる。だからこれ以上は我に踏み込むな。少なくともソーアン殿はそうだった。
Well, too bad I'm not him.
アンシャンテはあの場所は来客を温かく迎え入れ、しかし各々の事情へは踏み込まぬ。それが我の望むアンシャンテだ。だからこそあの店に通っていた。故にそれを変えるような真似はしないでくれ。
A clear-cut rejection and a painful reality. What Canus wants out of the Enchanter I took ownership of and now run. To protect Zoan Awaki's Enchanter the way it is. How ironic. I wanted him to speak his mind more often, but the moment he starts doing that, I end up getting my feelings hurt. I thought that if I spoke up and asked that I would get closer to Canus. I thought we could understand each other. Better if we speak our minds honestly, regardless of being human or non-human. Canus' words are painful to hear. I feel a hot tear fall upon my cheek. At the sight of me crying, Canus, emotionless, turns his back to me and walks away. Excuse me! Hey! Hey! You come back here right now. Bro! Bro! I cannot find the strength to wipe her tears. I turn my back against Kotone and keep walking. Then I eventually stop. The only sound I can make is my usual hollow breathing. I never wanted her to see me, and I never wanted her to know. She has been living a quiet, meaningful life. She's a gentle soul. I didn't want her to witness me doing what I must, my death-ridden duty. I look up out at the sound of shuffling bushes. Hey.
勝手ながら一部始終を見物させてもらいました。どうやら彼女には全てを見られていたようですね。昇進のところ申し訳ありませんが、陛下が呼んでいます。ついてきてください。
Yeah. Just like the first time he invited her to this world. I hate this. Vinya walks away before I can answer. As I follow behind Vinya, the queen's throne eventually appears.
どうしたんじゃ、カヌス。今日は一日琴音と過ごす予定ではなかったのか？
Didn't you summon me?
いや、我はあなたが我を呼んでいると言われ。
ああ、それなら嘘だ。
The Chancellor of the Fairy World speaks with no shame. Venya then turns to face Titania.
アンシャンテのマスターがカヌスの妖精殺しを目撃しました。
ベニヤ、ティタニアに伝える必要は。
Venya did not even flinch from objection. They firmly faced forward towards Titania. Her childlike features distort as she speaks.
見られてしまったか。
異分子を招き込んだままにその使命を果たし続けていたのです。この結果は遅かれ早かれ予想できたこと。ただまあそれに関しては事態を理解した上で忠告していなかった僕にも責がありますが。
それで琴音とは話したのか。
Titania looks concerned. She too has become close with Kotone. She must be curious of how Kotone reacted since she now knows of the fairy world's secrets. However,
人間界の常識で語るな。人間界の尺度で考えるな。我とあなたは所詮アンシャンテという一点でつながっているだけにする。
well, at least the BGM is very nice.
これ以
Even
上
if the
我は
story
踏み
is
込むな。
sad right now. Oh. Oops. I tried to say something, but in the end I simply could not. And as if she took notice of my suffering, Titania too did not speak any further. Venya watches as we stand in silence ever so calmly.
やはり嘆くだけ不服に思うのであれば帰ればいい。不満に思うのであれば拭えばいい。なぜ現状を受け入れるだけなのですか。
A cold rage. There's a subtle tone of hatred as they speak.
本当はあなたたちも今のままでは何も解決しないと分かっているのでしょう。
That's another typo.
嘆いたところで世界は何も変わりはしない。嘆いたところで妖精を殺さなければいけない。嘆いたところで姉さんに自由を訪れない。
やめろ、ベンニーや、そのようなこと言われずとも理解している。これは
However, oops.
我がなすべきことなんだ。我がやらなければこの妖精界そのものが。
Will it though?
その妖精界のためにどれだけの献身をするつもりであなたが同胞を殺すことでこの世界は世界中は何かを返してくれましたか。むしろ今回のようにあなたを苦しめるばかりではないですか。
There's one person in this room that actually knows what they're saying.
元より見返りなど求めていない。ただ我は
使命を果たしているだけですか。その言葉は聞き飽きました。ならば問い方を変えましょう。カヌス、あなたは今後も妖精を殺した直後アンシャンテに何食わぬ顔で出向き何の罪もない妖精たちを殺めたその手で変わらず彼女に触れていくのですか。
Hmm.
ミーヤ、なんてことを。
Titania has little fangs! Fang time! Sorry.
僕は事実を言っただけです。ですが、その手から罪は拭えずとも、これ以上手を汚さない方法ならある。
何？
カヌス、姉さん。100年ほど前にあなたたちに持ちかけた話を覚えていますか。
100 years ago, it does not immediately ring a bell, but Titania, on the other hand, instantly grasps what Vinya's hinting at and turns pale.
なぜ今さらその話を蒸し返す。
Hmm?
ならぬ。絶対にならぬぞ。
どうしてです。
どうしてだと。そなたはかつての悲劇を忘れたとでも言うのか。そなたと同じことを考えた。 カヌスの先代がそれを実行した結果、何が起こったのか、そなたもその目で見たであろう。
What did happen? Memories suddenly flood my mind. Memories full of terrified screams. Memories of constant killing. Oh, so that wasn't him? Do they inherit the memories of whoever had the position before them? What? I suppressed these painful memories of it as if to crush them in my
我も
palms.
それだけは反対だ。先代の死を告げる要請、彼女がなそうとした行為だけは決して認めてはならぬのだ。
Oh.
確かにカネス一人だけでは可能性は低いのかもしれません。ですが今ならできるはずだ。あなたがこの妖精界にその鍵を招き入れたのだから。
I have no idea what's happening.
アンシャンテの常連、各世界最強と謳われる実力者たち、彼らの力を借りれば。
まさかベンニーヤ、お前がアンシャンテに出入りするようになった本当の目的は。
ええ、アンシャンテの常連たち、その戦力を見定めるためです。ですが僕がそんなことをせずとも彼らの実力は他でもないあなたが一番理解しているのでは。
確かに彼らのことは我も信頼している。その斧だが
Oops. Maybe. I'm guessing. Because technically Egret still is the biggest problem they have in this world, right? Also, I think Venia is very much upset about Titania being stuck. Still I worry. I look up and trace the stems that bind Titania to
こ
the
の世
tree.
界中の脅威は彼らの予想や実力すらも上回るものかもしれんのだ。わずかでも失敗の可能性がある以上、そして確実に甚大な被害が出る以上、お前の提案に断じてうなずくわけにはいかぬ。
Oh, no worries. You have 2 chapters to come around. I exclaim, as if to stop him, but...
失敗の可能性、被害が出る。
Venia laughs at my objection.
それが何だって言うんだ。
I'm sorry, I'm just so happy they all have fangs. They explode into
あ
utter
なたたち
rage.
は被害者だ。この忌々しい世界に世界中に運命を縛られた被害者なのに、世界中にいいように利用されてただ搾取されるだけの存在。なぜそんな理不尽を許容する。なぜ悲劇から脱しようとしない。 なぜ現状維持に逃げようとする。
Stick it to them. Yes!
変えるためのこれが最初で最後の希望かもしれないんだぞ。あなたたち
Go
の
off.
それを考えれば多少の犠牲など捨ておけばいい。ああ、そうさ。姉さんを犠牲に成り立つ世界の住民ならいくら消えたところで構いはしない。
Hatred toward the world, hatred toward the word tree, hatred toward what gives their sister life. The emotions deep down inside of them convince them that the best path to take is the path that my predecessor once took. All in the name of escaping a cruel reality, no matter how many lives are at stake. Despite the sincere candidness.
我にはできぬ。今以上に殺すことは我には。
I cannot allow myself to choose the path of numerous deaths.
ニーヤ、もう良い。そなたの思いはよくわかった。けれど どどうかもうこれ以上はやめておくれ。当然そなたはわしにとって一等特別じゃが、この世界に生きるすべての妖精たちもまた同じようにそれを礎にしてまでわしは自由を得とうない。それに何よりそなたとカヌスが言い合う姿などわしは見たくないのじゃ。
Vinya's sister and the queen. After seeing the world, Tree brights tears.
あなたに少しでも期待した僕が愚かでした。何が騎士だ。普段守るどうこうと言っているくせに、今はもうその姿すら。
Vinya expresses contempt and they look at their feet. I am unable to respond.
すまない。
Canus can't even leave, like, in silence because his arm is just. All I can do is muster an apology as I walk away. And perhaps Kotone, who had rejected, she's probably overwhelmed by the same feeling of disappointment at this point.
世界樹からの解放、夢見たことがないかと問われれば。
姉さん、
じゃがどうしてもわしは恐ろしいのじゃ。そなたの案を実行した結果、どれほどの妖精たちが。
え？
なんじゃこの揺れは。
わからないけど、これはただごとじゃ。
大変よ、女王様、ベニーア。世界樹の幹の近く、ここよりもっと下の根の部分にとっても大きな、見たこともない穴が開いてるの。
Excuse me?
あんな、まさか
ホールが発生したのか。だがこれほどの揺れを起こすホールなどメディオでは今まで。
Oh.
姉さん、
女王様。これは世界樹。
姉さん、姉さん。
揺れが止まったわ。ねえ女王様は大丈夫？いきなり眠っちゃったけど。
心配いりません。他の妖精たちの様子を見てきてください。もし混乱しているようならもう大丈夫だと。
わかった。女王様のことはお願いね。
さあ、改めて恨むぞ世界中。これはやっぱり僕にとって敵だ。お前が姉さんを殺すというのなら、僕はどんな手を使ってでも。
I say we get some matches and light the tree on fire. 5 days have passed since that day. Okay. Embarrassingly enough, I've been absent-minded ever since. So you're going to show me a flashback immediately after. Okay.
アンシャンテという一点でつながっているだけに過ぎん。だからこれ以上は我に踏み込むな。少なくともソーアンドロはそうだった。
If I didn't know any better, I would say this feels like one of those mobile games where you can read for free, but you need to wait like a full 24 hours until you can read the next chapter. But here's like every second scene is a new chapter, and that's why they show you a recap every time. Or maybe they're not actually that repetitive, it's just me thinking they are. Canus' words cut deeper than anything I've ever heard, and Canus himself hasn't visited the cafe since. Even if he did visit, what sort of face should I make as I welcome him? The separator between humans and non-humans, owner and customer, personal matters not meant for others. Kotone's my Enchanté. Suan Awaki's grandpa's Enchanté. I haven't been able to get thoughts like these out of my head. Then one day...
それでもうほんとあっちこっちが大騒ぎで
You
俺も
again.
生きた心地がしなかったんすよ。
相変わらずアホなことやってんなお前は。
Yeah. But like... It's like, okay, this scene happened, and then 5 minutes later, they all sit together. Okay, yeah, I'm telling them what happened. Whoosh, flashback. Like, yes, I literally just read about it.
アホってなんすか。こっちとら雑魚は雑魚なりに一生懸命なんすよ。
はい、これ注文のアイスコーヒー。イグニスは炭酸のおかわりね。
お、どうもっす。しかしドローミスは毎度ベスティアでの闘争に巻き込まれる割によく生き残っているようですし、戦闘力が低いという点との矛盾が不思議ですね。もしや再生能力などを有しているのですか。
あ、なるほど。
No!
じゃあちょっと潰してみようか。
No, 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 no.
何を楽しそうみたいな顔してんすか。ほん
Oops.
ミシェル、いる。この辺下げるよ。
はいはい、ありがとう。
ねえ、ひどいっすよね、店主さん。俺めっちゃ頑張ってると思いません？
Yes, you're trying very hard. Oh, yeah.
え、歯の薄。兄貴、店主さんどうしちゃったんすか？なんか注文取る時からっていうか、なんなら店に来た時からよそよそしいっつうか。
なあおい、ことね。
His chin resting in his palms, Ignis' fussy voice reaches me. What is it? Without looking in his direction, I respond with a light, tight voice.
お前、確実に俺たち全員避けてるよな。まあそっちの事情もあんだろうしよ。とりあえずはほっといたが、そんな状況今日で5日目だぜ。だからもうめんどくせえし直で聞く。お前、カヌスとなんか
No! Whatever makes you think that. Wait, I thought I was still doing a decent job of hiding it, but I guess my poker face isn't the best. No, it isn't. We've established that.
どうしても何もねえ、君の態度がおかしくなった日からカヌスは一回も来店してないし、
さらに言えば態度が急変したのはカヌスと2人であなたがメリオに向かった日からです。
どれだけ鈍感でも原因はそこだって気がつくと思うよ。
我とあなたはアンシャンテという一点でつながっているだけです。
I'm tired of seeing the CG already.
これ以上は我に踏み込むな。
The entire scene had what, 5 lines?
ソーアン殿はそうだった。
Yeah. Don't interfere with people's matters. Canus' words had cut incredibly deep, and I've been avoiding people because of it. But if it was so painful for Canus to talk about it, the mere thought of it prevents me from talking about it with everyone.
やっぱそうじゃねえか。その面が何よりの証拠だよ。
よければだけどさ、俺たちにも話してみない？一人で抱えてるだけじゃ解決しないかもしれないけど、せっかくここには心強いメンツがいるんだし、それに君の問題はアンシャンテの問題、アンシャンテの問題は俺たちの問題ってね。
True.
力になれることがあるかもしれないでしょ。
Also, I think when you save in the middle of a chapter, yeah. But even then, I feel it's excessive, and I also feel like most people wouldn't just stop right in the middle, randomly anywhere. But it's okay. We'll just keep on reading. I think Canus has one misconception about how our grandfather... Good evening! We are winning. I think because the grandfather said... Or did he say something? It's like, well, you're the guest, but it doesn't matter what you are, human or non-human. So the grandfather was like, there's no difference between us. We are just who we are. And now Canus is like, no. How your grandfather had this cafe. He made a clear cut and like, am I misremembering? Is Canus misremembering? I don't know. We'll figure it out. In response to those kind words, well, I had no other choice but to explain everything that had happened. Oh! Like witnessing Canus murder a fairy and hearing the things that Canus told me. After I share everything I had to share.
聞いた限りだとちょっと厄介な感じだね。
世界を守るために妖精を殺すね。つうか箱入りもそれ見てたんだろ。
その行為自体にそれほど特殊性があったとは思えませんが、妖精界もただ平和な世界ではないということなのでしょうね。
I also talked to Rindo about it, but it sounded like even the GPM doesn't have enough information about
と
Meteor.
なると現状手がかりはなし。妖精女王であるティターニアなら当然事情が事情だ。聞いたところで話してくれるかはわからないよね。
Then, just as the crew falls into silence, Kadia takes the opportunity to speak up.
あのさ、
Oh.
その事情俺少しはわかるかもしれない。
Oh? Really?
多分だけどね。どこから話せばいいかな。
Then Kadia begins to slowly talk as if he were trying to piece together his memories little by little. Oh? What are they teaching you over there? Remember the other day I told you about this Kotune, what I was going to talk to my parents about myself? So, just the other day I finally got around to talking with my parents. Until then I only told them that I have some mysterious powers, but the fact that I'd gone through ancestral relapse, I told them everything I knew. At first they were, as one would expect, very confused, but I shared with them the GPM documents and demonstrated my powers for them. Ultimately they believed me, so I proceeded to ask them about my roots, in other words about my ancestors. Then my parents went out of the way to contact my biological parents who abandoned me and researched my family tree.
俺のばあちゃんの母さん、ひいばあちゃんが変わった人だったらしくて
Your
さ。
grandmother's mother. Oh, okay.
ばあちゃんはもう亡くなってるけど、その弟、大おじさんが生きてるから、ひいばあちゃんに関することを教えてもらおうと。
I've lived for roughly 300 years now. The reason why I live in the countryside is because the city just doesn't suit me. If I stayed there, I would die. Apparently my grandmother always said such weird things as she laughed. He thought she was just joking, but because the stories were so intriguing, my great uncle still remembers
その
them.
中で一番印象的だったのは、遠い場所にある不思議な世界の話で。
Once upon a time, there was a kingdom made from a giant tree. Life on this big tree was comfortable and the residents lived there happily in peace. But one day something had happened. The giant tree, which provided benefits for the residents, that tree, began to assault the residents. The momentous assault saw no end and too many people lost their lives. At that rate, the world itself would have fallen apart. Then the residents, in order to tame the tree's rage, decided to offer bride to their god. The effect was dramatic. Thanks to the bride devoting herself to the tree, peace returned to that world. Ah, great.
っていう話なんだけど。
From those who don't know anything, Kadia's story may sound like another fairy tale, but is that story about Meteor?
十中八九そうだろうね。きっとカリアのひいおばあさんが人間界に迷い込んだ妖精だったんだ。であれば住人、つまり妖精を襲った大樹とは世界樹のことでしょうね。
だろうな。それよりか 花嫁っつうのは何のことだ？
Oh, that's right. These guys weren't around to hear it when I was on my way home from the tea party. That's probably referring to Titania. Another name for the fairy queen is the World Tree Bride. World Tree
ちょっ
Bride.
と読めてきたね。
Eh.
カヌスが言う世界の危機っていうのは、多分あの世界樹が何かをやらかすこと。
Mm-hmm.
そして妖精女王ティターニア、いえ世界樹の花嫁はそれを抑えるための
生贄ってわけか。
ええ、それでしたらあそこまで強引に世界樹につながれる理由にも納得がいきます。ただそれがカルスの妖精殺しとどうつながるのかは未だわかりませんね。
なんか俺は別世界の事情だからあれっすけど、めっちゃ不穏な感じがするっすね。
というかさ、それが事実だとしたら、何かの事情が危ないって分かってたからこそ巻き込まないために琴音をあえて突き放したんじゃないの？
Maybe. No! If so, I'm even more curious now. I wonder how Canus felt and what he was emotionally going through when he told me these things.
さて、持ってる情報は全部まとめたことだし、ことね。ここから先は君次第だよ。
Huh? Up to me?
カヌスに指摘された通り、客のプライベートに首を突っ込むのは店のマスターとしての領分を超えてる。
Yeah, but also we are friends.
先はそうあんなら絶対に踏み込まない場所だ。
We're friends.
先代のようなマスターとして彼をただ迎えるだけに徹するのだって悪いことじゃない。むしろカヌスが望んでるのはそっちの姿なわけだし。
Too bad.
その上で君はどうしたい？
In response to Misha's serious question, aha, I need to create a save file here. Apparently. Actually, let's just save over these. Because apparently we don't need them. I need more time to think. Thank you, everyone. I put some more thought into it. About how I want to confront Canus and to make a decision. Decision. 5 days prior to Cortona arriving to this resolution. Why is it always 5 days? You guys only work like during the week? After shopping Cortona away and arguing with Titania and Venia. Oh, that's a new background. One we haven't seen before.
少しでも期待した僕が愚かでした。何が騎士だ。普段守る同行と言っているくせに。
After Venia expressed their contempt and hostility toward me, I walked away. Without anywhere to go, I wound up in this place. This is where Cortona and I became more open with one another. A sorrowful breath spills from my invisible mouth. I realize now how strange the fairy world is after spending time in the human world. From the far visible horizon to this very spot, everything in between is a part of Yggdrasil. This tree is the cause of all suffering, and the cause of the rift between Cortona and I. Oh. Oh my god. Distancing myself from her that day should have been the right choice. If she learns of my situation, I am sure she will be heard and try to help. As a result, this painful reality will cause more harm. We are already hurt. And we're going to trouble you, so... Worst case scenario, her life will be in danger. It is a very real possibility. It's fine. There's something that's trying to come for our lives anyway, so... That is right, I was right to make that decision. Regardless of the fact that I can never go back to Enchanté ever again, I've returned to my original self. I should just get over it, but...
なぜここまで
Heh.
胸が痛む。突き放しておいて彼女に会いたいと思ってしまう。
I have no idea where these emotions are coming from. From your heart. Despite being faceless, I thought I was able to read my own emotions. The only thing that comes to mind is...
困っていないだろうか。買い出しの手が足りずに一人で重い荷物を持っていないだろうか。裏庭の手入れまで一人でこなそうとしていないだろうか。
My good dude, I think you call that feeling love.
働きすぎてはいないだろうか。我の言葉です。一人部屋で泣いてはいないだろ
The
うか。
crying sprite is really pretty though. Like, those are some real anime tears. The separator between humans and non-humans. I'm the one trying to break the separator by constantly thinking about her.
この先どのような思いで己の使命を全うすれば。
Oh! I instinctively brace myself against a sudden quake. But before I can survey my surroundings, the quake quickly calms.
一体それに先ほどの何かが脈打つような音は。
Maybe the tree is trying to break out? I don't know. As I sit in my confusion, the fairies seem to be panicking as well. The tiny fairies are speeding their way toward the nexus of Yggdrasil, toward Titania. Anna? And the moment they seemingly reach the trunk of the tree... Ugh! What the fuck? A portion of it transforms into an odd shape. It swallows the tiny fairy's body whole. Huh? Uh-oh. Contrary to my surprise, the bizarre creature fuses itself back into the tree. Uh-oh. At the sight of this, I feel as though all of the blood in my body has escaped.
しばらく先のノルマは必要な妖精殺しはすでに果たしていたはずだ。
You really think something as powerful as a world tree would keep its promises?
なぜそれ以上の養分を求めるのだ。
Oh boy. Oh. Huh. One hour and some time for one chapter? Let's see how far we get. A quake strong enough to shake all of Medio and Yggdrasil's devouring of fairies. Something's definitely happening. Even as I run, I carefully keep an eye out for any other abnormalities, but so far, outside of the confusion among the fairies, there's nothing unusual. And by the time I rush over, an exhausted Titania is being nursed by Vinya.
Titania?
Something is definitely wrong. It does feel a little awkward coming back after Vinya told me they did not want to see me, but right now is not the time for more arguing. Vinya silently reacts to my inquisitive look.
ごく短時間だったようですが、世界樹の根に近い箇所でホールらしきものが開いたと報告がありました。それもどうやら世界樹の幹をえぐり取るような形で。
戦国の振動はそれが原因か。ではティタニアのその様子、世界樹が彼女の命を。
ええ、損傷を受けた世界樹が傷を癒すために補填したんでしょう。姉さんの生命力の大半を栄養素として。それにこのホールの影響が偶発的な事故だと嘆いたところで世界樹が理解を示してくれるはずもない。きっと世界樹は考えるでしょうね。外部からの攻撃。
The same as 500 years ago. If so, what is bound to happen?
わしは心配いらない。問題はここからじゃ。このまま影響がわしのみで済むな。
No.
したことはないが。
いや、残念ながら。
I tell them of what I saw earlier. Then the two of them grow pale.
世界樹に食われた。
ああ、間違いない。
Uh-oh.
確かニエは1週間前に捧げたばかりでしたね。
Right. Normally Yggdrasil would be satiated for at least a month with our offering, but it continued to feed, which can only mean one thing.
単にそういうことなのだろう。宣告起きたという幹への影響を考えれば、世界樹としてはより多くの命を飲み込むべきと考えるのは。
であればどうにしろ避けられませんね。500年前と同じことになる。世界樹が満足するまで。
I understand the meaning of their gaze. I should bring death upon our fairies as the fairy of death and offer those lives to Yggdrasil. I understand.
どうしてわしらはただ平穏を求めているだけだというのに。
恨むべきは幹をえぐり散らしたホールか、それともそれを機に動き出す世界樹か。
Both. I think both are very not good.
それらを織りなす運命か、それは僕にも分かりません。いずれにせよ起きてしまったことはもう元に戻せませんよ、姉さん。悲劇は起きる。昨日までの平和が崩れ去るのがたまたま今日だった。それだけです。少し席を外します。カヌス、姉さんを任せても。
Now that is a very good question. I mean, apparently Yggdrasil like gives them life, sustains them, but I'm not sure in which sense, because at one of the very first banquets they said, oh, fairies don't need to eat, drink and stuff, so I'm not sure.
構わぬが、どこへ。
えぐられたという幹の様子を見に、正確な情報を得るためにも被害を確認すべきでしょ
う。ならば
結構です。あなたは姉さんの様子を。今は落ち着いたとはいえ、また倒れられても困りますから。それに2人で今一度考えるといい。どうすることが最善なのか。
私がどれだけ心を砕こうとも、カヌスが同胞殺しの罪をかぶろうとも、たった一つの不運が、たった一つのホールのせいで、この世界中はまた悲劇を。
I vote we destroy the world tree.
無数の同胞を食らうというのか。
You know? Boom. Once Venia walks away, Titania's voice loses some of its strength. As I recall the reason and the tragedy, I lower my head as I once did when I made that vow to her.
この妖精界を守る騎士として悲劇の目を刈り取るため
The words spill out naturally.
生きるあらゆるものへと死を告げる妖精として生まれた。
カヌス、
何が最善なのかはわからない。だが我がこれからやらねばならぬことはわかる。メディオに平和を取り戻すため世界中が養分を欲しているのならそれを与えるしかあるまい。
わしが妖精女王として、いや、世界樹の花嫁として責務を果たすことができていれば。
Could be. Maybe we can get some plant life. No.
謝罪の必要などない。 我のやることは変わらぬ。
Maybe we can get some plant life into the human world, so the fairies can live in the human world fully? Or the other way around, get some plant life into the fairy world after we destroy Yggdrasil and still be able to live.
いつも通りのこと。そう。これは我にとってただの日常だ。
I feel like I've said something similar to her. You say it's daily life, but why is it that... Are you in such pain? Huh! Aha! So, the flashbacks give you literally the same scene. It had the same mistake the original scene had.
違う。我は何も。
コヌス。
いや、支障ない。我は早速行動に移る。ある程度の時間の後、報告に戻る。
Exit the Nexus and I'm overwhelmed by the amount of blood-red foliage. Foliage? Can you really do it? The leaves shuffling in the wind ask me. Those innocent fairies, and even more so your own heart. Can you really do this? That's a good question. Oh no. I swing at the shadows formed by dawn and continue walking with my sword in hand. Do not think of it, not now. Do I think of what? Your heart? Do not give in to Kotuna's kindness. The only time I should be thinking about her is when I'm at the cafe. For now, just focus on the task at hand. Yeah, it probably does. Right, don't think about it. Once this is all over, I can take the time to determine whether I have the right to see her with all of this blood on my hands. We could help. We will help. If you want us to or not. That day, Kariya-aba is visiting the GPM headquarters for his scheduled testing. The testing concluded without issue, and on the way home...
そうだ、カリア君。これからアンシャンテへ行くのかい？
Yeah.
そのつもりだけど、ひょっとしてまた今日もミシェルたちの体の一部をこっそり取ってこいとかいう話？
またとはなんだね。まるで僕がマッドサイエンティストみたいじゃないか。
You are.
いや、むしろそうとしか思ってない。
まあ、彼らの研究もしたいところだが、今回の要件はだね。リンドウにこれを渡してほしいんだよ。
何？メモリ？
世界樹についての追加報告書さ。
Oh!
つい先ほど、ようやくまとまってね。
Show me that.
それなりに重要なことが書かれているから忘れずに渡してくれると助かるよ。いや、それにしても妖精界メディオがあんな危険と隣り合わせの世界だなんてね。カリア君、君も訪問の際は気をつけたまえよ。さーて、それじゃクーちゃん、仕事終わりにちょっと早めのディナーと行こうか。
Just casually dropping the fact that, hey, yo, that world you're from is actually dangerous. Uh-huh.
待ったミカさん、その話詳しく聞きたいんだけど。
ああ、やっぱり妖精の端くれとしては気になるかい？
In response to Karia's momentous inquiry, Mikado speaks up with agreement. I'm sure you've already heard it from Rindo, but based on my analysis, it's been discovered that the world tree of the fairy world meteor originates from plant life on Earth. Aha! The whatever. That is the species of the ancient tree Yggdrasil is closely related to. The Sigillary itself has long been extinct, at least in the human world, but also known as a seal tree, giant trees said to have grown in ancient times. When its large leaves fall, they would leave hexagon or rhombus-shaped marks on the trunk, resembling the sigil of a seal, thus giving it its name. However, even in the present day, various related species still exist, so it's undoubtedly a human world plant. In other words, no matter how much it has changed due to the effects of the fairy world, the basic biological characteristics, receiving sunlight, conducting photosynthesis, and requiring nutrients from land and water, nutrients from land and water should be no different from regular plant life. In fact, no matter how we look at it, the Yggdrasil leaves still fit within the definition of a plant. However, I've arrived at one problem. There are limits to how much a life can grow. One of the theories, the extinction of dinosaurs, explains the difficulty of nourishing their giant bodies. Even if meteor has distorted its growth, it's hard to believe a world-engulfing plant can sustain itself with just water and sunlight. In which case, there's only one thing I can think of. Yggdrasil undoubtedly receives nutrition externally. If so, what does the world tree feed on, considering it sits at the top of the food chain in Meteor? I think you get it now. That's right. Basically, the entire world of Meteor, the home of the fairies, is probably Yggdrasil's feeding ground. Aha! Dun dun dun! Dun dun dun! It has been about a week since Canus shut me down at Meteor and the day after the regulars helped me out. Today is one of those rare days where no one has come to the cafe, so I'm in the backyard watering the plants. The showering water makes a rainbow. The colorful flowers that Canus usually waters were swaying lonesome, perhaps because he's not here. Yeah, he's busy not dying.
その上で君はどうしたい?
What do I want? The answer to Mishi's question hasn't arrived after a whole day of thinking. There's so many feelings of uncertainty swirling around in my heart. The moment I try to make sense of them, they crumble away like sand. The answer is within my reach. The answer is right here inside of my heart. Oh?
だからこれ以上は我に踏み込むな。少なくともソーワン殿はそうだ。
I'm going to interfere so hard. Even so, I'm afraid of being rejected. I tear about my weakness and cowardice. When I was a child, there were so many things I wanted to do, and I was brave enough to express myself. But that strength, after graduating from school and working at a local company and being crushed by the weight of reality, slowly disappeared. And before I realized it, I was surrounded by things I didn't want. Even though I tried to avoid them, I had forgotten my honest desires and wants of doing more. That's what a bad job does to you. That's right. Until I took over as the owner of Enchanté. I didn't just end up here, this is the place I chose. My Enchanté. I repeat the words Rino mentioned. The more I think, the more I realize Grandpa and the regulars are why I chose this place. Even when I took over, everyone encouraged me. I finally was able to reach out and do what I truly wanted to do. Will I be able to reach out again? What I want to do, that is, I want to see Canus. Vocalizing my thoughts allow me to be honest with myself, but I just can't muster up the courage to broadcast these feelings to him. Ah! Ah! Hello! What are you doing in my backyard? Huh? Venia?
来店しても出迎えがなかったので勝手に歩き回らせてもらいました。
I'm so sorry I didn't hear the doorbell ringing. I know I'm a little late, but welcome. I'll be right here once I wash my hands, so go ahead and have a seat then. You're probably not here to drink coffee, are you? What's the matter?
いえ、この場所見事なものだと思いました。
I guess it's the first time Venia has seen a backyard. While I watch their gently squinted gaze caress the flower bed, it feels as though I'm being praised. It's quite flattering. This flower bed is Canus' work. All of those flowers all came from here.
これだけの花をそれはまた顔に似合わず。顔はないのでしたね。
That Canus, he does look a little intimidating, but he's actually very delicate and caring. When I first met him, I judged him based on his looks, but now I know that Canus is a very kind person. The fact that he tends to these flowers every day so they don't wither, and how the townsfolk rely on him a lot and how the children look up to him, Being able to mention any of those says a lot about his character. As we keep going on like this for a bit, Vinia chuckles bitterly and
あなたは
squints.
随分とカヌスを観察していますね。
You think?
ええ。数百年の時を共に過ごした僕や姉さんよりもずっと彼を理解していると思います。
I guess that's probably because he kind of allows himself to be, well, himself around us, to some extent. That's not true. The words that just came out of my mouth sound somewhat timid, because the only Canis I know is the Canis that frequents this cafe. Whatever he's going through is something I'm not allowed to get involved with. Having said that, I'm sure Winia won't understand what I'm talking about, but I can't stay silent about it. Then,
カヌスに拒絶されたことが相当答えたようですね。
alright, Vinia saw what happened, never mind. Huh?
しかしあの首なし騎士もこれ以上踏み込むななどともっと言い方があったでしょうに。
How do you know that? Could it be, did Canis tell you?
見ていましたから。あなたが泣くところまで一部始終。
Gee, thanks! Not paying any attention to my shock, Vinia lowers their
あ
shoulders.
なたは真面目すぎるのです。言葉のすべてを真正面から正直に受け止めすぎている。カヌスに用があるのであればカヌスの言葉など無視してやればいい。自らの希望を叶えるには行動があってこそ。そうでしょう。
But it's not that easy. Acting without thinking will only...
では悩んだままに現状維持に徹する方
Ooh, hydrate time. Hold on. Is this a fresh new bottle? Those words for some reason sound like their temper is starting to seep out.
たくあなたもカヌスも姉さんも変なところがよく似ています。肝心の勇気を持つことができず変革の痛みを恐れてその場にとどまり事態が悪化するのを待つばかり。時間は有限だったと気づいた時にはもう遅いの。
I know that staying inside my head forever won't solve anything, but if Canis doesn't want it, then I can't just ignore that.
どうしてそれがいけないのですか。
Huh?
突き詰めればあなたを拒絶したのも所詮はカヌスの勝手によるものならばこっちも勝手にすればいい。それだけの話ではないですか。
Well, Vinia's words are awfully selfish. They are, but I can't quite deny it
少
either.
なくとも僕ならそうしますけどね。
You would? Even if the other person doesn't want you to, you would do what you want to do?
ええ、そのつもりですよ。相手が望まずとも拒否してもその道が不幸に続くと分かっている以上、たとえ嫌われようと僕ならそれを止める道を選ぶ。大切な人に幸せになってほしい。その
Ah, even if society deems it a selfish act, Vinia smiles. Unlike the usual sarcastic smile, it is rather gentle.
淡きことね。あなたは違うんですか。
No, I don't. I agree. As I vocalize my thoughts, I feel as though it gave me courage. No matter how Canis feels about me, I want to make Canis smile. I can't stand to see him not happy. Even though he's faceless. We get it! My feelings probably won't change, so I want to see him. I want to see him and talk to him, not as the owner of Enchanté as he wants me to be, but as myself, just ordinary Kotone. Canis, why did you push me away? I want to meet him, face to face, and hear him out. Once I vocalize my true feelings, the winds carry my words through the flowers. Vinia, my only audience, applauds my small
まる
outburst.
で愛の告白ですね。次はカヌスの前でどうぞ。
Next time, please do some quality controls on your games before you release them access. Hey, don't make fun of me.
何にせよ心が定まったのはいいことです。では行くとしましょうか。
Where to?
何を寝ぼけたことを当然今からメディオにですよ。
Let's go!
急げと言うでしょ。
What? Right now? Wait, I need some time to mentally
不
prepare.
要です。というか僕がここで帰ると次はカリア少年が来店するまでメディオには来られないでしょ。
That is true. Oh, that's right.
精神力の弱いあなたはそんな時間を与えたが際もまたうじうじと悩みそうですし。
Vinny is a character so refreshing, just flat out being completely rude. But that's okay.
決意が鈍らぬうちに行動すべきです。何か反論は？
I can't object. Feels like I've been forced into all of this, but I decide to follow Vinny's suggestion and start walking. Haha. In a rush, I change into my normal clothes and leave a note to the absent regulars announcing the cafe's temporary closure. Then we make our way to the fairy world. Oh. But wait! Now it's only me, normal human me. I cannot fight the world tree. Just as I did the first time I visited, I follow behind Vinia. But unlike my first trip,
ここから幹の外周を通ります。下は見ないことをお勧めしますよ。
uh-oh.
この先は道が分かれています。間違ってもはぐれないように。突然笑い出してどうしたのです？
You're way
何か
nicer
面白いことでも？
than you were the first time around. Oh, nothing. It's nothing like that. It's just that unlike last time, you're actually paying me some attention. I just feel like compared to when we met, we've come a long way, you know? Aww!
別に仲良くなった覚えはありません。道に迷われると困るというだけです。
It's not like we're friends or anything. Tsundere. Their selfish attitude doesn't change. Still, I think they've gone a little soft on me. Yeah, even when Vinia was so cold, I've been able to get closer. What? What does that even mean? So maybe I can with Canus too. As I continue thinking of that, I suddenly noticed something. Huh? Hey, Vinia.
何か？
Isn't Meteor awfully quiet today? Usually there are fairies flying around every which way. They would usually flock around me without having to say anything. But today, for some reason, not a single one. Ah! Suddenly the world jolts. Yeah. And with a jerking motion, sounds of leaves shuffling against each other echo in the surrounding like breaking waves. What was that?
静かに。慌てないでください。
Eventually. From the shaken branches like a bird flying away, a lone fairy appears from between the leaves and soars through the sky. But in the fairy's path is a large bulging branch, oddly shaped in the form of a tentacle. Uh-oh. It swallows the fairy whole. What just happened? Vinia, what just happened?
そう騒がずとも結構僕も確かに見ましたから。こうして直接目にすると嫌なことを思い出しますね。
Bad memories.
この先も同じようなことが起こる可能性は否定できません。なので僕から離れないように。離れた場合の安全は保証できないので。
Wait, what's happening to Meteor? A flashback of the story Kadia told me stops me in my tracks, but Vinia shakes their head and continues walking without stopping.
危険を知らせぬまま連れてきたことに関しては謝罪します。
Okay, thanks.
ですが今この世界にはあなたの存在が必要なのです。
What do you mean? Even though I ask for clarification, Vinia doesn't answer me. All I can do for now is follow Vinia, who suggests I'll find out sooner than later. Oh boy. Thereafter, for better or for worse, nothing unusual occurs. By the time Vinia leads me to the Nexus, there's a cool crisp in the air as autumn falls upon us. Canus, Titania! The two standing at the throne gasp as they notice me. Uh-oh.
どういうことじゃ。なぜそなたがここに。
もちろん僕が連れてきたからですがいきなり掴みかかるとは穏やかではないですね、カヌス。
連れてきただと。何のつもりだ、ベンニーヤ。今の妖精界の状況が分かっていないお前ではあるまい。
Oh! He's purple! He has never been purple before.
ええ、だからこそですよ。
By shoving away Canus' grasping hands, Vinia replies indifferently.
正直、ここ最近のあなたの様子は見るに耐えないものでした。ろくに戦えない僕でも呆れてしまうほどお粗末と言っていいでしょう。そんな状態でよくも妖精界を守ろうなどと言えたものですね。
Canus doesn't respond, as if to admit that Vinia's words held some truth.
ことね、あなたにはこの後説明しますが、今このメディオは危機に陥っています。
Danger, like what happened earlier? A quake that nearly shook the entire world, and immediately after that a ferry was eaten by Yggdrasil.
さすがに異世界に多く触れてきただけありますね。察しが良くて助かります。
Well, of course.
その危機に対処するためにはカヌスの力が不可欠なのですが、彼は今ふぬけきっている。故にその原因を取り除くべくあなたにご足労を願って。
That is a very good question. But also, Vinia came at a day when no one else was in the cafe. I don't think that was on purpose. Like, I think that was just bad timing. But yeah, would have made more sense to just get all of them and then explain, hey, look, we're having some problems, can you all help out? Because right now it's just me, little old human me, who cannot do anything, who also cannot reach anyone else right now. So, Vinia lightly pushes my back and I stumble forward. Canus. Oh, red now. His expressionless helmet stares down at me. I've been dying to see him again and talk to him, but I don't know if I'm upset or disappointed. I can't find the words now that I'm here. We face each other in silence for a minute. A full minute?
あなたの不調の原因は誰よりあなた自身が分かっているはず。僕にここまでさせたのですから、早くその問題を解消することですね。
Vinia says as they push on our bags. Oh, okay. Leaving the worried Titania behind, he leads us away from the throne. The two of us walk in the crimson tree. This is awkward. Really awkward. If only the others were here, at least we'd have something to talk about. But when it's just the two of us, I struggle to put words together. And by the time Canus finally opens his mouth, the splashes of the waterfall softly hit us. Hmm? Oh, I'm sorry for showing up all of a sudden. Hehe. There is something wrong with you. You refuse to get help. You're wrong, I softly interject, as I search for the words to say to him. They said a lot of things, but they're not the only reason. It was my decision to come here, because I wanted to talk to you.
話すことはない。
Uh-huh.
以前すべて伝えた通りだ。
You're saying a bunch of words? No.
あなたは人間で我とは違う。本来この場所にいるべき存在ではない。
Up, up, up.
だから
But I do. I do. I have so much to tell you, so many words, so many feelings. I have so many, Canus. Every time a word leaves my mouth, Canus' flames wave. No matter how hard he tries to hide it, his body language says it all.
それは今でなくてはならぬ話か。
Yes!
すべてが終わって我がいつかまたアンシャンテへ顔を出すようになってからではダメなのか。
Yes!
今この妖精界メディオは極めて危険な状況に置かれている。こうして話をしている余裕もないのだ。それは道中であなたも気がついただろう。
Yeah, I saw a ferry getting eaten. Maybe I should just stick to reading and not do my own commentary. Because apparently I know the script. Yes, I saw a ferry get eaten by Yggdrasil. And a long time ago something similar happened, right?
なぜそれを。
I shake my head in response. While you were absent from Enchanté, the other patrons and I were curious about Medio. Coincidentally, Kadia came out to his parents regarding his identity and was researching his origins. I cannot help but laugh every time it's written like this. He came out to his parents regarding his identity. Full stop. And as we expected, one of his ancestors was a fairy. It was Kadia's great-grandmother. Then we all heard the stories that she would tell through word of mouth, that Medio's world tree terrorizes fairies, and that the one keeping the world tree at bay is the one known as the world tree bride. The bride is referring to Titania, isn't it? There's a brief moment of silence. As if to show indecisiveness, the flames on his neck wave a few times. And finally...
おおむねその認識は正しい。だがそれはいささか古すぎる情報だ。
Oh?
東大の世界樹の花嫁はすでに世界樹を沈めるだけの力を持たぬ。
Oh?
故に我が死を告げる妖精である我がその役目の一部を果たしているのだ。妖精を殺しその魂を世界樹へ捧げることで。
Canus, while gazing at the waterfall mist, begins to talk quietly about the truths of the fairy world, Medio and Yggdrasil. In the beginning, it started with one small seed. A seed brought from a foreign world was planted into the soil. Its compatibility with this world was good, or rather it may have been too good. Immediately after it was planted, the tree grew at an alarming speed. It instantly surpassed the height of a human, covering the ground and reaching the skies. It swallowed the surrounding vegetation while incorporating various plants and flowers. Finally, it grew so big that it had covered the entirety of the world's surface. That is how Yggdrasil came to be. However, there was a side effect to becoming such a massive tree. Yggdrasil grew so big it became unable to sustain itself with only sunlight and water's energy sources. Then one day, the world tree began to consume fairies. It transformed its branches and roots into tentacles to attack the fairies and to devour them. None could escape them as long as they lived in Medio. The very branches they stood on could turn into a threat in an instant. Other healthy fairies would find this concept of death confusing. Then, 1/3 of the population had been eaten. The fairies were overwhelmed with fear. As a last resort, a sacrifice was made to tame the world tree. It was originally an ancient plant from the human world, Sigillaria, I don't know. It mutated due to growing in a world other than its homeland. It grew too large and went out of control and went to the top of the food chain, seeking fairies for nourishment. That was the world tree bride. By connecting a sacrificial fairy to a device built at the nexus of Yggdrasil, the fairy's soul will be used as an efficient source of nutrition. This tactic proved highly effective. With enough nutritional supply, Yggdrasil finally ceased his attacks. Thereafter, every time a bride's soul was completely consumed, a new bride was offered. This is the self-sustaining system of Medio. That's right. The coveted title of Fairy Queen was created in order to disguise the ugly truth of sacrifice. It was merely a mask to cover up the fact that the World Tree Bride is a sacrifice. Of course, not all fairies supported the idea of the system of sacrifice. There were those who spoke out boldly against creating a world of sacrifices. However, those voices were quickly hushed. If all it takes is a single sacrifice, and as long as they weren't chosen, it only makes sense to live this way. However, after a long history of sacrifices, there was one fairy that dared to change the world and waged war against Yggdrasil. Ah, the Canus before this, huh? The Fairy of Death Banshee. Okay, never mind then. The Fairy of Death that is born once in a generation. She's my predecessor. And the eldest sister of Vinny and Titania, born at the same time and place as the two. Oh! Oh yeah, okay. After Titania took the queen's throne and offered her soul to the World Tree, she decided to fight for her younger sister and challenged Yggdrasil all on her own. Well, and she lost. Right? What happened to Miss Banshee?
時代の死を告げる妖精たる我がここにいることが何よりの答えだ。
In other
3日
words,
2番に及ぶ戦いの末、彼女は世界中に食われて消滅した。
3 whole days.
死を告げる妖精の力をもってしても、この世界中には世界そのものには勝てなかったのだ。
Candace says as he looks up at the sky as if he was talking about his own defeat. No way. She tried to save Titania and fought desperately, right? Even then.
そうだな。妹を救いたかった彼女の気持ちは決して責められる類のものではない。だが自らの無謀な戦いがその後に何をもたらすかを考えていなかった。いや、あるいは考えていたかもしれないが、それでもなお逃げとされた妹のために武器を取らずにはいられなかったのかもしれない。
Banshee was in fact defeated. Despite that, she had left a deep wound in Yggdrasil, the result of which is the destruction of this dreadful system known as the World Tree Bride. Because of her attack, the throne was damaged and the bride was rendered dysfunctional. For example, Yggdrasil would normally extract 10 units of energy from the bride per month. However, after that incident, the damaged throne was clearly supplying less energy. Compared to previously, the amount of energy it was able to extract plummeted to just 1 unit per month. In other words, from a certain perspective, Banshee's resistance was not in vain, but obviously at this point, Yggdrasil would not be satisfied with so little of the Queen's soul. The damaged World Tree, in order to heal its wound, instinctively, just as it ran rampant in ancient times, it began devouring fairies relentlessly. With my predecessor's death, I was born in the midst of it all. You were born the way you are, just like this? Boop! As I came into being, the first things I heard were the screams of the devoured fairies. I opened my eyes and the first things I saw were the faces of the fairies drenched in despair. The Fairy of Death is born with some of the knowledge of past fairies of death. There was no exception for me. Without knowing for myself, but driven by the lingering memories, I gazed at the fleeting fairies, clenched my sword, and swung down. The memories were pleading with me, that even if I fought Yggdrasil it would be impossible to defeat it. If so, as a knight that protects Medio, what am I to do? The answer I arrived at was to kill fairies with my own hands. This is the role of the Fairy of Death. By killing fairies, we return the souls to the world. Rather than Yggdrasil devouring the fairies, it is far more efficient for my killing to make the necessary offerings. In other words, the more I kill with my own hands, the less casualties we have in the end. I had no time to choose, no time for my heart to fight reality. As soon as I was born, I stepped, without a sense of my own will. Without knowing what I wanted to do, or what I should do, without anybody guiding me. I cut, and cut some more. Until the Yggdrasil was tamed, I kept killing fairies. I killed, and Yggdrasil ate. Eventually, when Yggdrasil became silent, nearly 1/10 of the fairy population remained. This was the cost of finally satisfying Yggdrasil. But that was not the end of everything. Yggdrasil, though it entered into temporary dormancy. As long as the World Tree Bride was dysfunctional, Yggdrasil would one day wake. Another name for the Fairy Queen, a brighter name only in reality. She offers her own life force to the World Tree to stop its rampage. In other words, the one chosen to become sacrificed to provide the World Tree its nourishment. Yeah. Oops. That is why, after discussing with Titania, I decided to continue killing fairies. I see a fairy, it's death, and execute it. That is, my life as the Fairy of Death. All is for the protection of Medio. To maintain peace in my home of Medio. My words were cut off. A moment of silence ensued as if to process the tragic story. The spray from the waterfall splashed upon my cheek like a spray of blood.
わかるか、コトメ。すべてはバンシーの無謀な行動の代償。定めに抗ったゆえの悲劇。
I hate games that are like, you cannot fight fate. We will fight fate so hard. The predecessor to Canus as the Fairy of Death, she was the elder sister to Titania and Venia.
妹を救おうと思った優しく純粋な気持ちなの。もはや何の慰めにもならぬ。
You're gonna fight fate so hard, I don't care.
彼女の行動は結果としてより多くの不幸と死をまき散らした。生まれ落ちた瞬間から同胞殺しを天命とされたことをあなたが憐れむ必要はない。生きる者は皆何かしらの宿命を持つ。
Fairy of Death. A fairy that kills any being in the fairy world with the ability to return their soul to the world. The greatest and only combat force in the fairy world. Only one exists in the fairy world and inherits past memories and duties when a new one is born.
誰を恨むことも何を嘆くことも必要ない。生まれは選ぶことができぬとしてもその道を歩むと決めたのは我自身。そう、この道を選んだのは他ならぬ我自身なのだ。
To protect the world from the World Tree going out of control, he killed countless fairies and returned into the World Tree. He still prophesies death and kills fairies regularly. A black knight who possesses a kind heart yet burdened with a heavy task. Canus is satisfied with his decision. With such definite statements, I, without having first-hand experience, am unable to say anything further. Ah! Oh, but...
我とて弱き者を殺すためにこの剣を振るいたくなどない。大切なものを守るために振るいたい。だが今の我にできるのはこれだけなのだ。
He speaks quietly. Canus, this kind knight, is trying to fulfill his role and is accepting reality for what it is. His strength is admirable, yet somewhat dangerous.
本当はあなたにここまで語る気はなかった。それでも語ったのはこんな我を案じてここまで来てくれたあなたに対するせめてもの誠意だ。
Canus squares back up with me. Then he gently touches my tear-covered cheek.
その目だ。あなたにだけ。
Ah!
そんな目で見られたくはなかった。我にとって安らぎの象徴たるあなたにはそんな目をさせたくないと思っていた。
He is forgetting that. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, but we had this entire big ass wormhole where even Mishir struggled. And you're telling me just because, oh no, because my predecessor, when she was on her own, failed and made it even worse. If you take all of these overpowered people and put them all together, that you can't do it? What prevents you from trying? What's the worst that could happen? Everyone dies. Okay, great. Everyone dies. We failed. Okay. Is that better than not trying? And you slowly, you know, feeling your heart break? Stupid pride. You can ask for help. And even if you don't ask, we're going to help. We're going to fix this. There's no way for me to find out what sort of emotions were in Canus' eyes as he tells me these things. Whether he's crying, or grieving, or in pain. Without knowing any of it.
何も変わらぬままにただ明るく優しい瞳のまま出迎えてほしかっただがこうして全てを知ってしまった以上きっとそれはもう叶わぬだろう
I always thought of Canus as a gentle person. He loves flowers and protects the weak, a person I will always lend a hand. I've always believed that. That's probably why I was so shocked to see him cutting down a fairy that day. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe it was an imposter, because it just didn't match up with the person I knew very well. But I was mistaken. I place my trembling palm over Canus' hand that touches my cheek. The gentle hand that cares for the flower bed is also a powerful hand that wields a sword. What I see is both versions of Canus, all of him.
あなたを責める気はない。だが、一言だけ言わせてくれ。
The inherent kindness and the mission given at his birth, the duller hand that carries this contradiction gazes deeply at me with invisible eyes. He gazes deeply at you with invisible eyes? I'm sorry, what? Excuse me, I'm ruining the moment.
どうしてここへ来た
Because
どうして全てを知らぬまま我をあの店で出迎えてくれなかったどうして知ってしまったのだ
He sounded neither angry or accusatory. Rather, his tone suggested that he has lost something dear to him. I quietly clear my throat in order to respond to him. At the end of my internal debate, I was worried about you. What came out of my mouth was my own honest feeling.
心配
According to me, you are an important person. No matter what you say to me, I will worry about you, Canus.
あなたが来た理由は分かった我を思ってくれたからこそというのは素直に嬉しく思う感謝もするだがそれでも我があなたに望むのはたった一つだけだ
What is that?
あの店でいつか我が戻るその日を変わらぬ笑顔で出迎えてほしい
No.
ただそれだけだ
Or like, after all this is over, I will gladly welcome you back to Café Enchanté. No worries, but...
それ以上は何も望みません
Is that really what you want from me? Isn't that what you want from Enchanté? Canus shuts up as if he was called out. And I, as if to press him further, take a step forward to close our distance. Like a mirror image to his wiping my tears earlier, I gently reach both my hands to the cheek area of his helmet. Canus. Gently, I move my hands that are placed at his cheek. The helmet that was covering Canus' face, the helmet that Grandma once told me to try on, fell to the ground and made a dry sound. Look! Look at me, Canus Espada. Shut up and look at me! Look with your own eyes at who is standing in front of you. You've told me once that humans and non-humans are different, that I should face that reality. And I did, ever since the day you told me. You are non-human and I am human. You are the customer and I am the owner. There's definitely a separator between us. So when you rejected me, I kept thinking about it. During that period, I caused a lot of trouble for the regulars. I couldn't focus on my job and made them worry about me, but I decided to come see you after some thinking and then some more thinking. Out of my own selfishness, out of my own will. Regardless of human or non-human, I wanted to come see you on my own. That's why I'm here now, looking at you. So, please look at me too, Canus. they're struggling to make these CGs because he doesn't have a head. Don't look away. I'm not my grandfather, I'm not Soan Awaki. I'm the owner of Enchanté, Kotone Awaki. Look at me. For Canus, Grandpa's Enchanté was a very important place. He grieved his death, enough to long for a replacement. Uh-huh.
あなたは我に現実を見据えろというのか。
Uh-huh.
同胞殺しとしてメリオの者から恐れられ背を向けられる立場の我がやっとたどり着いた安息の地がもう存在しないのだと。この誰からも見えぬ瞳でその事実を見据えろというのか。
That's right. Grandpa's Café no longer exists. Aside from Titania and Venia, Canus was feared by many of the fairies. As sure as flowers bloom in the morning, or the afternoon sunshine, or the colors of trees at sundown, or the night air chill. As the savior knight of the world, he spent his days alone, carrying his sword. Confronting such a person with reality may be cruel, but I still need to say this, in order for him to acknowledge me. I am not my grandfather. As much as I want to carry on his wishes, I don't think I can fully encompass him. That's why I need you to accept me, the evolution of Enchanté, me and my cafe. I let go of his hand. Hand? You never touched his hand! But if I do so too brazenly, I'm afraid he'll disappear. Without stepping away from him, I place my cheek on his chest and softly speak to him. I want you to come to the cafe. I want you to come back. Not to a place where you have to hide, but a place where you can be yourself. I want to be with you where you belong. Uh-huh. Silence ensues for a while. All we can hear is the sound of the waterfall drifting between him and I.
なんと情けない姿だ。これではあなたに会ったばかりの頃のイグニスを笑えぬな。琴音の言う通りだ。イグニス、すべてに納得する必要はない。
Okay, that is actually a valid flashback.
我とて今だ心は定まらぬ。ソーアン殿の影を見てしまうこともあるが、ひとまず今はソーアン殿はソーアン殿、琴音は琴音だと区別して見ることを優先すべきだろう。まさか他の誰よりもあの店にこだわっていたのが我だったとは。
Canus places his hands on my shoulders and stares at me with such an
アン
intensity.
シャンテの天使とその肩書きの持つ意味に縛られ続け、我はこれまでずっと何も見えていなかったのかもしれん。琴音とソーアン殿ではこんなにも違うというのに。
Without breaking eye contact, he looks straight. I cannot do this! This is supposed to be like really deep, but I can't take this seriously. Oh my god. Are we that different?
違うだろう。ソーアン殿は大樹のように構えて
Oh, he's
同時
happy
に
though.
懐の深さを持っていたが、琴音、あなたは一輪の花のように訪れる者の目を奪い、心を和ませる。
Yeah. That was a little too much to take in, but
店の経営感についてもまるで違う。
oh. Yeah, like do you wish to see the scene again to know what they're talking about, or did you literally play it like 5 minutes ago?
ソーアン殿は非常に大雑把というか、その場のノリだけで値段から何から適当に決めていたが、あなたはそのあたりをきちんと考え、メニューまで細かく記載している。
That's probably the normal thing to do as an owner. I can't help but let out a chuckle. Candace and I smiled finally smile at each other and our smiles continue to grow.
あとは性別が違うせいか。やはり華やかさも異なる。
Oh man! You need to work on your flirting skills, my good dude. That's atrocious.
ソーアン殿に比べると、琴音はずっと華奢で柔らかくて、動き一つ一つが愛らしくて。そう、可愛らしいのだ。あなたは。
Wait, is this really unnecessary right now?
当然だ。違いをはっきり見ろと言ったのはそちらの方だろう。
I did, but
他にはそうだな。
I can feel Canus's gaze. It's like the time when he pretended to be asleep. But he's a lot more serious now and oozing some sort of emotion. Canus. It's a little embarrassing to be stared at like this. Maybe that's enough for now?
断る。
Ah!
愛らしい目鼻立ち。綺麗な人。内に秘めた優しさ。心根の強さ。どうして気づけなかったのか。一人の人間としてこうしてあなたを見てみれば。
Had I looked at you as a human being. Oh wait. Oops. Why did I read this out? I wonder if Canus realizes how much he's embarrassing himself. And then I'm blushing at each one of his
ソーアン
words.
ドのアンシャンテは包み込むような見守り優しさ。あなたのアンシャンテは共に悩み歩んでくれるような親しさを感じる。無論どちらが優れているかなどと比較できるものではないが。
Canus looks at me from a very close distance. His breath nearly touches me as he talks.
それでも我はあなたの店が好きだ。いや、気づいていないだけでずっと前から好きだったのだろう。
His face draws near. A supple warmth touches my cheek. Perhaps this is because he's softly placing his cheek onto
今
mine.
確かに言えるのはあなたのいるアン
Wait,
シ
so
ャ
now
ン
you
テ
can
の
feel it?
が我にとって何より大事だという事実。
Earlier, like way earlier, they said but that while he has a face, other people cannot touch it and feel it. Ah!
その日々を守りたい。
I need to turn off my brain and just
失い
enjoy.
たくない。
Not ask why. Just enjoy.
この後メディアを包む状況がどうなるかはわからぬが、我は必ずあなたの店に戻る。
I help you, and I'm sure everyone else will as well. Misha, Idle, Ignis, Rindo, Karya, even Kodono. With all of us together, there's nothing we can't accomplish.
そうだな。早く店に顔を出したいものだ。我の愛するあのアンシャンテに。
After thinking of Enchanté, which he has not visited in a while, Canus slightly pulls away from me, quietly looks up at the sky and starts to speak.
我はあの店に来店した時の響き渡るドアベルの音が好きだ。すぐに出迎えてくれるあなたの元気のいい声も好きだし、裏庭に咲く花々もあなたが我の育てた花を見繕って飾り立ててくれた。
Canus' thoughts keep spewing from his mouth. So much love. Those words tickle me a little, but they are very gentle, and I love them too.
当然のことだが、
Oh
あ
my
な
god!
たが入れてくれるいつものエスプレッソも好きだし、もちろん
Oh!
あなた自身のことも好きだ。
The music stopped. tries to stop the words that spell out by covering the error where his mouth should be, but his actions further prove that what I just heard wasn't a mistake.
いや、今のはこう自然と。
Natural? I suddenly hear my heart beat loudly. My breathing and train of thought halt. Only the sound of my beating heart. I can't see his face. However, I can understand how Canus feels right now, and painfully so. Canus, will you say something?
確かにこの沈黙はよろしくない。天気の話で構わるか。
Because undoubtedly, whatever's inside his chest must be the exact same warm feeling that I have. Tell him!
話は
Ah! Excuse me! Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Benia!
How long have you been there? The entire time.
まあ答えても構いませんが、あなたが精神的な傷を負うだけだと。
I came to meet you with such determination, yet my face turns so red out of embarrassment that I want to run back home instantly.
僕がどこまで見ていたのかはさておき、僕としては今の一幕について拍手を送りたい気分です。
Why an applause? Vinia laughs bitterly at my piercing eyes, then breaks into a light smile.
本当に心からの称賛ですよ。今のは僕が知る限り初めて見るカヌスの姿でしたから、友人の端くれとしては少しばかり嬉しくもなります。
Aww. Canus and I faced each other subconsciously in response to their words.
驚いたぞ。まさかお前の口からそんなことが聞くことになろうとは。
あなたが変わろうとしたのと同様、僕も変わろうと思ったまでです。
Vinia's smiling face was much more beautiful than their usual stern, cold look.
ことね、あなたがいてくれてよかった。
Me too.
あなたがアンシャンテのマスターでよかった。
Me too. But we still haven't, like, you know, saved the world.
変わらなければ、変えなければ。
Vinia. Vinia's expression changes. Their eyes are filled with sorrow. Before I can ask them what's going on, they turn away from us and begin to walk. Afterwards, they say they need to check on the area that was gouged out of Yggdrasil for any abnormalities. After parting ways with Canus, I accompany Vinia and return to Titania. I tell her that I heard everything regarding what had happened to the fairy world Meteor. I tell her of my conversation with Canus.
そうか。この妖精界メディオについてのすべてを知ったか。
I wonder, because there's one chapter left. I wonder if they like put it in this one still, or if they're giving me a new chapter where we actually deal with this. Titania takes a small sigh and nods with glazed eyes.
妖精殺しはこの世界の代償。そなたが知る必要はないと伏せておったのじゃが。
That is perfectly fine.
そのせいで何やらカヌスとのいさかいが起きてしまったと。
Well.
言葉ばかりの謝罪ではあるが、すまぬな。
It's okay. I was just being nosy. There's no need for you to apologize. In response to Titania's lowered head, I waved my hand with a strong conviction.
ええ、そうですよ姉さん。謝罪の必要は全くありません。むしろ感謝してもらう方が正しいかと。
なんじゃ。 何やら意味深じゃが
Well, we got a very nice confession scene out of it.
どういう意味かわかるか
What? I wonder what they're talking about. Vinia smirks. No matter how I look at it, they must be referring to my talk with Canus. But that wasn't something worth telling everyone, so I decided to pretend to be ignorant. Besides, right now, we should be thinking about how to face the dangers Meteor is threatened with. More importantly, Titania, Vinia, about the problems Meteor is facing. Is there any way that the people of Enchanté and I can help in any capacity? Canus is a very important person to both me and Enchanté. If he's in trouble, we want to be of help. Plus, Titania, Vinia, simply as your friends, if there's anything I can do, I want to contribute to your cause. Having said that, I don't have any powers, so there's not much I can do.
ありがとう世界の友人よわしらの世界を憂いてくれて
It'll be okay. My regular customers are all extremely powerful. With everyone here, we should be able to find a way to tame Yggdrasil.
ああそうじゃな絶望ばかりはしていられぬ嘆くのはすべての手を尽くしてからじゃ
Uh-huh.
では任せてばかりですまぬが
Please go rally up everyone at Enchanté. Oh! What's supposed to be the rest of Titania's thought is gently cut off by Vinia's voice.
ニーヤどうしたのじゃ
They're facing down, looking somewhat tormented, and the words that followed did sound rather painful.
アンシャンテのみんなが揃ったところで世界中の悲劇を妖精ぐらいを間違いなく鎮めることができるのですか
That is a very good question. I don't know for sure yet,
じ
but
ゃがきっと何かしらの方法があるはずじゃ
Vinia quietly shakes the head in response to all words.
きっとではダメなんですよ
Oh? I thought this was your plan.
確実に絶対に何としてでも
Huh?
僕の目の前にある悲劇を拭うには一分の隙もあってはならないたとえどれだけ最強のメンツであっても絶対の保証がなくては
Oh.
僕の考え以外には今さら同意できないんだ
So what's your idea? Your own? Giving me to the World Tree? Is that your idea? And as if to respond to my muttering, they position themselves between me and Titania and stare at me dead in the eye.
ことね今一度問わせてください
Uh-oh.
あなたはこの世界を救ってくれますかあなたは姉さんを救ってくれますかたとえそれが茨の道だとして何か犠牲にする道だとしても
Their eyes are unwavering. Though I don't know its true meaning, it's clear that they want to save Titania and change this world of... So, with uncompromising determination, I respond to them. I want to. I will save this world. It may sound naive, but I believe in Canus and the people of Enchanté. So, despite the sacrifices you're referring to, I want to save them.
そうですかどこまでもお人よしなのは
I don't trust whatever's going on right now. I'll take that as a compliment. They extend their right hand for a handshake. No. No. I smile and take their hand. Ah! I knew it! Don't do it! In an instant. With a snap of Vinia's finger, they pull Titania out from behind them and a replacement. I am thrown into the empty throne. I knew it! And before I can realize the truth, a horrific sensation as terrifying tentacles entangle me relentlessly from all sides of the throne. Ooh, Titania's legs. I've no clue what just happened. A pale-faced Titania tries to run toward me, but Vinia grabs her arm tightly and never lets go.
ルニーヤ、話すことでが。
近づかないで姉さん。あなたが近づけば計画が台無しです。
ちょっと、私が解放されたのもそなたの仕業なのか。
Well, who else would have done it?
そもそも人間の娘に世界樹の花嫁の代わりは務まらぬ。こんなことをしたところで。
You didn't? Oh no, I did. Because Vinya's one goal is to save Titania.
師弟というのは時に厄介ですね。すぐに考えていることがバレてしまうのだから。
Shaken by an ever-violent quake, Vinya, with the usual expressionless face, speak quietly.
このままでは琴音は死ぬ。
Well,
であれば助けるでしょう、彼。いいえ、彼らは。
yeah.
何としてでも助けるはずだ。たとえそれが世界が相手でも。彼らならこの不条理な世界をきっと殺してくれる。二度と不条理な煮えなど捧げることなどないよ。この忌まわしき世界中を殺してくれるんだ。
Mm-hmm.
いや、なんということを。
そうです。思い切り泣いてください、琴音。カヌス、アンシャンテに届くほどに。カヌスは死を告げる妖精として悲劇の目を刈り取ってきた。ですが、たかが目を摘んだところで死ぬ樹木など存在するはずもない。
We need to kill the roots.
幹を切り根を断つ。彼にしてもらいたいのはただそれだけ。
Mm-hmm. Vinya smiles again, as if to hide the pain, the torment, and the conflict, with the same face that called them a friend.
僕は信じています。彼が大切なあなたのためにこの世界中を殺してくれると。
You know, I think the idea itself is not that bad. Like, put someone else in place. But like, you could have just talked about it. Okay, will you help? Will you gather everyone? Will you destroy it? Without putting me into that place and bringing me really, really close to my death. Really, really fast. Because I'm just a normal human. Any fairy would last longer than me, probably. Just as I heard from Vinya, this must be the aftermath of the wormhole. In front of me is a large hole gouged out from the trunk. Considering the size of Yggdrasil, it is a negligible wound. Regardless, it was large enough for Yggdrasil to recognize that it had been attacked. As I muttered to myself, I realized something. Surrounding the gouged out bark is a tiny white powdery substance scattered about. I look around, but I can't see anything that would create this much ash. In this world of meteor, there's no such thing as fire. It looks somewhat familiar to me, but as I try to figure out what it is, my surroundings suddenly roar with life. Uh-oh. Yggdrasil's roar is gradually occurring more frequently. The chances of it not waking is slim to none. Ahaha! The largest quake I have felt yet engulfs my surroundings enough to cut me off entirely. The fairies that were hiding in the area come rushing out, and in their path. Oh! Like a blooming flower, a mysterious shadow appears.
違うやめろそいつに近づくな
The moment the shadow engulfed her, the fairy tried to scatter, but it was taken captive and soon disappeared.
よく見ろ気配は似ていてもそいつはティターニアではない
That's right, I know this person. 500 years ago, she even devoured my predecessor Banshee. She's the embodiment of all the past World Tree brides. Oh.
Soul Eater!
Soul Eater! World Tree brides of the past have been reduced to this form, appearing as part of the World Tree to consume nourishment. As soon as I recognize a threat, I sprint to protect the fairies, the opposite of what I usually do for them. I leap in front of them to try and block the piercing shot. I managed to blow it away, but... Oh boy! Similar bodies immediately start to rise from the surrounding area. As I fight to protect the fleeing fairies, a medley of flowers begin to rain down above my head. From the flowers I hear a familiar voice.
ベンニーヤちょうどよいこちらも報告がある先日ホールが開いた場所の跡地にソウルイーターが現れたもはや世界樹の目覚めは確実に
ええ承知していますよ世界樹は人間という異物を取り込みその身を守ろうかつてないほどの栄養を求めるでしょう
Just, you know, the tone of the voice like, yeah, well, I gave Kotuna to Yggdrasil.
ベンニーヤお前は何を言っている
You know, like you do.
人間を取り込んだ何が起きたいや琴音に何をしたベンニーヤ
My rage-filled scream echoes, and while my sword cuts down the enemies,
ご安心淡き琴音はここにいます
Vinya's soft voice melted into battle.
世界樹の花嫁と
And that's chapter 4, the final chapter. The thing is, though, this is not going to be over in like just 20 minutes. On one hand, I don't want to, you know, stop at such a cliffhanger, but I cannot. I won't get through this, and I need to stop because I have to work tomorrow. Didn't Vinya want a sure way to save Titania? I think Vinya had this plan, and they wanted a sure way, like a 100% sure way. Otherwise, they wouldn't accept plans from anyone else. Well, not that their plan is very safe or sure, but I guess that doesn't matter to them right now. The only thing that matters to them is saving Titania. And I mean, it's going to work out, right? This is a romance game in the first place, so everything is going to have a happy ending. But in regards to how happy, we're going to look at it the next time. So on Wednesday. I wish I had more time. I really wish I did. But sadly, I'm stuck with a full-time job. Is this a rather short stream? My last streams were a bit longer than this, so I'm very sorry. But this is the end for today. A very sudden end. Well, thank you for coming. Hopefully. Don't worry about it. Aww. I wish I could stream more. But sadly I'm also only a human and get exhausted. But yeah. Thanks for coming tonight. We shall see each other on Wednesday. On Wednesday once more with this. And then finishing up this route. And oh, wait. I need to post my schedule. Ah! I need to post my schedule before I go to sleep. Okay. Okay. Good night. Thank you once again. I've said thank you like 4 times now. I'm gonna say it again. Thank you. And see you on Wednesday. Good night. Sleep tight.